Apollo earned us the right to consume because we defend Earth. Immortalizing existence by traveling the universe in moments and returning full scent to any thought and anywhere thought throughout time. Intricate exploration of the universe with externalized minds housed in structures composed of only light, focused with lenses made of heat instead of plastic, glass, or water. Using lucid dreams as a monitor when waking in the morning, then falling back to sleep, with augmented reality apps allowing sleep movements and sound to control training dream sequences and 24/7 individual production of innovations. So, like, when you're asleep, with lucid dreams being used as a monitor, you can be plugged into any kind of system because your sleep movements can be monitored by AR and manipulate whatever you're being told to visualize in your sleep. So, like, you move your hand a little bit and it affects it and it activates things, for example, while you're sleeping and visualizing what you told your dream and choosing it. Alien intelligence doesn't exist because they would be here. If younger, we would be flooded because of ease of use of quantum racer experiment, travel the universe in moments. The older they'd be here, they have nothing to fear because we've almost solved war for ourselves. So they'd have no enemies or anything. There's no species that is kept 100% secret. There are always leads and resources to everything that we have on us. It's too vast of a lead. Ancient flight mainframe made of Wiseman, Sandman, our cheap lines, creative computing, immortalizing existence. Our autism features intricate variations and unconscious expressions that allow supercomputer cores to map our experiences. Time travel existing, proven into the future on rockets, and proven into the past with quantum racer experiment focused on starlight, proves God exists. Because that's the first superpower you need to gain omnipotence. Because you're instantly able to rebuild yourself to omnipotence with unlimited time by sending things and your mind into the future and anywhere throughout time. So you're able to collect all the resources you need to build yourself into omnipotence, like the technology. So that's the first technology you need, and then that instantly allows you to build everything else that you need to do. Super powerful space engines composed of only nuke explosions, housing and channeling the forces. Space elevators can be made with volcanoes using lightning to magnetize aerodynamically filtered soot. Unite three clear walls catching downward and upward aim projectors to make unite three clear walls catching downward and upward aim projectors to make holograms more interactive. After chopping up a vectorized sketch into a grid, condense the lines to points, also known as nodes at that point. Then use auto music sight reading apps to play the charted notes of a sketch or an image or really anything. that's an image, like any kind of thing that you see or think about, or graph. Looks like all the evil is isolated from us. It looks like all the evil is not isolated from us because the timeline is being preserved until God gets really good at time travel. Since he's like omnipotent, I bet he's thinking, why take the risk of losing omnipotence by messing with the timeline that created it? The meaning of life is to immortalize existence. This is a trick question, and like was originally formed like a long time ago. So it really says, translated modern, like people don't speak like that, you know, people don't say the meaning of life, you know, what is the meaning of anything, you know, like that's not how you say that. You say like, what is the purpose, or like, what is life doing, like what is the purpose of life, or what is life doing? And life is immortalizing existence. Life is protecting existence itself and not immortalizing life, which will sacrifice itself to restart existence or restart the universe in order to preserve existence. So, yeah. That's what that question really is. So it's just a trick question that's been carried on, and the monks and stuff aren't sitting there like thinking about it because it's really obvious, and it's like you can get at the answer to it by just by thinking about how to make things archival. Like it happens pretty quickly, you know. It only took me like 6 months maybe, like thinking about archival processes and like what that means, and like how to make things more archival. And I arrived at like, oh, well, what is the, you know, is that the meaning of life and stuff like that. It was like pondering through that process, trying to make things live forever. And then I was like, oh, archival, that's what all life is doing. Wait, is that the meaning of life? And then sure enough, yeah. Dog paws can speak and phone us if you give their collar cells AR apps. Soon dogs will be able to earn money at jobs and rent houses wherever they choose to vote. For example, a live video feed of puppies on an AR target image floor allows them to play us music 24/7 and use lucid dreams as a monitor. Mechanisms composed of only light can be created with screen hand heat, forming lenses made of heat and the cold, focusing light to create more lenses made of heat. So spinning your hand around in a circle while using a cell phone will create a heat lens that focuses more light through that heat lens. That lens formed of heat in the cold air. So it creates, you know, like when you look out during the day in the summer, in the distance you see the heat snakes. Same kind of concept. So that forms another lens, focusing light through it to create more lenses. So yeah, that's a way to see the building blocks of creating a mechanism composed of only light. Filtering stereo instructions fights effeminate singing experience men get and fights idiocy sound of spoken word. Instructions are technical and allow us to speak. Instructions with live sketching and painting, whose marks activate sounds, legitimize use of live stages. The works can be editable, binding you to the filters, and the venues audiences are allowed to participate in. At the venues, the audience is allowed to participate in escape room while listening. And an escape room. Choice numbers in correct order of a 360 choose your own adventure are key codes for unlocking the live escape rooms at venues, uniting all Americans against death. Yeah, so like a major thing I'm doing is trying to get everybody to choose Antarctica immortalization, like discounted cryonics versus cremation, because it's much cheaper because of all the laws and stuff. So I think that's the way to go. And everybody will experience loss. You really start to think about, like, hey, this refrigerator that I'm going to right now, like, should probably be the gravesite for the person I care about, you know? And yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that we don't do that. And like, then your mind kind of travels beyond that to like, well, what's cheaper than plugging in a refrigerator? Cheaper just to take a whole bunch of folks to Antarctica, you know, treat them that way. And we keep them going, we keep minds going by externalizing minds with cell phone as like the base of the mind. So what you can do is have like electrodes on the front lobe and at the back of the lobe, at the frontal lobe, and then at the cerebellum, and you'll have electrodes on 2 of the 4 regions of the brain that house consciousness. It's really strange, they kind of keep that secret, you know, like, it's obvious we know where consciousness is in the brain. The amount of animals we slaughter every day, you know, like food, like, so we know where consciousness is in the brain. So that's really strange to keep that, like, hidden. You know, way too much experimentation, millions of times a day, to sit there and claim that we have no fucking clue at all. Anyway, yeah, so that would be the that would be the place to you know, to place the electrodes at the front and the back. You can also place them at the back of the nose, because that's another area. The range literally flows from here all the way back to the back of your skull. So it assembles right there at your spine, and then right there, there's just like these 4 areas that go from here, you know. So yeah, so consciousness is very malleable, and the frontal lobe can be completely removed, and you're still conscious. So yeah, you can easily externalize consciousness because it's so malleable. You don't even have to implant electrodes under the skull. You can use them on the surface, and through sensory deprivation techniques and using lucid dreams as a monitor, like, you can fluctuate consciousness to the point to where you can get it to expand into an external mind structure, like a cell phone. And yeah, that's something that's really, you know, I think gonna gain popularity soon. Like, it's really strange, like, with the importance of it, that it's not like burning up like the internet. Like, it really should be burning up the internet. Because people see how obviously basic it is to externalize your mind. And so they're like, well, can't I externalize consciousness of the mind as well? You know? So, and it's weird, people just like give up and let themselves go. See, but a lot of us already have like an immortality. So, you know, that's the way that goes. Anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is unite all Americans against death. So that's a very important thing, because we don't want people we care about not to be around anymore. You know, and that's another thing, is like a lot of people are like, oh well, you know, I'll just go to heaven and stuff, but then that would be the same thing as saying, like, I'm not going to take the medicine the doctor gave me. Because this is another thing. It's like, hey, you're supposed to do this because it's the same thing as taking cold medicine. If you can. Some people can't afford their cold medicine, you know, and they die of the cold. And it's really sad. But if you can afford it, then you should. You know, if you can afford to freeze yourself, then you should. And if you can afford to externalize your mind, and it's not very expensive, that's the thing, like, then you should, you know, like, you're kind of obligated to. If you're worried about the whole, like, being led into something in the afterlife, you know. So, yeah, and that's another thing, like, God gaining omnipotence, I think, you know, well, I'll talk about that just after. But that is really cool how time travel existing proves God exists. So that's kind of Okay, so I got some ideas to like start showing work live, and what I want to do is play some music, have it super interactive, and involve underwater painting and certain areas of interest of cell zones to use the United States as a canvas.